Welcome to the 21st century Black America Renaissance, energizing and reclaiming a people. I am your facilitator, Mark Carvin-Oles, author, consultant, entrepreneur, lecturer, minister, and social theoretician. In addition, I will serve as your guide through each segment. The focus of this series will bring forth direct action immediately available for implementation wherever a need for a resolution exists. As a black male undergoing the American experience with you, my aspiration, dreams, and hopes are invested in you and along with you. I am not an outsider observing the march to reality. Our goal is to provide solution-driven motivation as the impetus to the 21st century Black America Renaissance, energizing and reclaiming a people. The demand, history to be made. The demand upon the black community is to generate a positive history through direct actions. And this begins with the collective genius. Let's define the collective genius. Words are not quite enough to portray the collective genius. However, the subject matter is too weighty to proceed at this point without a working definition. In short, the collective genius is a group of individuals considered a whole, working in harmony by concentrating their intellectual capabilities toward accomplishing a specific goal. Even briefer, collective genius is all members of a group working as a collective and pooling their capacity or aptitude to achieve a particular outcome. In short, these two definitions only acknowledge that collective genius is a vague thing that gives pursuers and researchers modified approaches to know it. To those engaged in collective genius, they can perceive its existence through the natural senses or spiritual depths. Collective genius has four distinct traits. One, a divine revelation or the flatus, inspired a combined body of believers of the same faith practice that moves toward God as the source of enlightenment and wisdom. Second, a particular or distinctive character or spirit as of a nation or a language that propels the totality of members to summits not attainable separately. Third, a hallmark or shared or assumed by all members of the group, identifiable as exceptional, invigorating the entire group to achieve feats otherwise unrealizable. And fourth, a procurable service or a procurable resource used by a number of people as a group that displays extraordinary power.
How do I write my life story? I know hurt and pain. I don't like either one, whether physical or emotional. Herein contains my story, Not Without Scars, Part 2. Optimism, perseverance, persistence, resilience. 2 decades of personal struggle. Optimism, I faced a new millennium with hopefulness. Perseverance, my ego, my humble beginnings, my desire to achieve never allow me to turn away from a difficult task. Persistence, opposition should be anticipated as an effective strategy to victory surfaces. Resilience, difficulties do not automatically spell termination. Scars reveal my imperfection as reminders of past episodes of pain, sorrow, or triumph. Scars can tell beautiful story endings or relay misery that wishes to remain anonymous. This work is meant to help others who have experienced decades of struggle. When struggles appear to never end, you must get through the night and face the challenge of a new dawn with fresh hope.
Welcome back. The building of a cadre of solution producers requires an impetus that will invite others to blend their talents as a nucleus of the 21st century Black America Renaissance. Energizing and reclaiming the people acts as the magnetic pull of the movement. Reciprocal exchanges shall validate the collective genius of the assembled participatory. Understanding the power of the collective genius. No one should ever know more about you than you yourself. You are the authority. Speak from that platform. Along with passion, the collective genius can reinforce your compassion and commitment to resolve a predicament by exhilarating your group to achieve phenomenal feats, otherwise unrealizable. You can transform yourself as well as others into a conduit of momentum that moves the project forward. In addition, you will exhibit a contagious tenacity that summons others to adopt a steadfast attitude to overcome any conundrum. As a result, your foresight shall compel you to work toward the collective genius as a unifying action. The collective genius shall bring to light an instrument that can channel the energy of a group along a course of extraordinary achievement. The application of principles set forth through the collective genius will produce the emotional need to fuel your exertion over the long-term endurance of a far-reaching campaign. You will also become a seeker of fresh ideas, as well as a recruiter of those with reputable aspirations. Next comes the unleashing of the collective genius. You come forth through the unleashing of the collective genius with outcomes beyond an individual capacity, beyond any possibility as a traditional group, outcomes beyond a coeval configuration, identification, and functionality of a conventional gathering. In a moment, we will go to our interview segment and deal with some pertinent questions for the collective genius.
The Great Lockdown of 2020, a mid-crisis analytical report, represents a historical work. The people provide indicators to their needs and roles in building and establishing the new norm. The voice of the people places at the fingertips of decision makers knowledge of how the area's resources should be deployed to best serve the society and address the needs and concerns of the people going forward. This study serves as a guide to where key research should be directed and sets the course to engage resources during crises by future social theoreticians. Comparison of responses on multiple levels provide an uncanny insight. The capture of a population's response in the midst of a crisis compared to a post-crisis reflection shall prove to be of monumental value into human reactions facing uncertainty during and post a calamity.
Hello everyone, my name is Patricia Parker and I'm honored to be conducting this interview on the demand history to be made, and I'm going to be interviewing Mr. Mark Carvin O's. And my first question, Mr. O's, is what does the 21st century Black America Renaissance mean in layman terms?
Well, thank you first of all for agreeing to do this interview. I'm privileged to be a part of the 21st century Black America Renaissance, energizing and reclaiming the people. What we're really saying is that we need to have an opportunity to bring about dignity and respect to the community so that we're not viewed as a people as one-dimensional and not portrayed in a negative manner. We want to change the perception of who we are in every realm, culturally, politically, financially. We have to change the whole scope of who people see and respect Black people.
Well, could you expound more on the collective genius?
That's at the heart of the Black Renaissance, is the collective genius. And what we're conveying in the collective genius is that all that we need to change and redirect who we are is already in the Black community. And this is coming from a spiritual perspective as well as a natural perspective. the people in the land of Shinar were given a directive to be scattered as a result of their coming together on one mind, one accord. And the divine revelation was, if we don't disperse them, nothing that they imagine will be impossible for them. And so we have that type of collective genius within the black community. If you look at any corporation, any industry, we are present, we are in decision-making positions, and we are working at every level in these different organizations and institutions. So when we can bring that same collective genius into one plan to revitalize, energize, and reclaim the people, it can be accomplished.
Okay, well, what is the direct correlation between the 21st century Black American Renaissance and the collective genius?
Well, it's impossible to start a strategy and conduct a strategy for an entire people without it being a collective and collaborative effort. All the talent and resources, the skills from academia to the vocational skills is already present in our community. So the direct correlation is bringing about a selflessness bond of the talent and skill that's already present in our community.
Well, could you tell me, how does the common everyday black person mesh with the 21st century Black American Renaissance and the collective genius?
That's a good question. It's a loaded question, and it has multiple responses. The everyday person has within them their gift. Everyone has a talent, everyone has a gift, and everyone has a role to play. And when we realize that we are all in this movement together, all in this rebirth together, all in this redesign of how others see us, then your part is as equal to the one who has a PhD as the one who lays the brick. The one who's an electrician is same as the one who's an architect or an engineer. We have the same desire for our families to be safe, our family to be secure, our women to be protected, our children to be educated. So everyone has a role to play and everyone can fit.
That's awesome. Well, why is the 21st century Black American Renaissance energizing and reclaiming a people of such significance at this time?
Well, if you look at the evening news, you look at the trends that are going on, from the police brutality to the lack of financial equality, the political arena imbalance, we can't afford to wait another 50 years. We're at a point now that we are repeating what took place in the 1960s in terms of movement, in terms of liberation. The difference now is we're not fighting for the liberation or the opportunity to speak. We're now in a position to implement rather than just have ideas.
Good. Well, how do you clarify or distinguish the difference or similarity between natural senses or spiritual depth?
Wow, that is a mouthful there, and let me take my time with this. The natural abilities are what we already possess. We're skilled, if it's athletic, if it's entertainment, if it's academics, those are our natural abilities. Now, our faith senses are what we believe in and what we see for others. My skill, my gift is for the making of a quality of life for the multitudes rather than for selfish gain for myself. And so when we have the natural abilities meshed with the spiritual component, that I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's protector, my children are your children are my children, and then we look out and protect our community. And when we do this in a collective manner, we can keep out the external forces that are detrimental to our community. When I respect my brother's children, when I respect my sister and her children, then I'm not going to put poison in terms of drugs in their path. I'm not going to solicit my sister for an immoral act when I realize that this is part of me. And when we find out that our DNA is not just a chemical breakdown, but it's a livelihood for all of us, and then we are connected in a collaborative effort, then we can move forward in a new dimension.
Okay, great. Well, that's really wonderful. What is the assurance that the collective genius can produce extraordinary outcomes?
The assurance that the collective genius can produce the extraordinary outcome rests in the fact that when we're together and bring in all our multiplicity of talents, we're more able to bring forth more and dynamic outcomes than one individual could ever accomplish alone. And so when the chemist meets with the physicist and the athletic person meets with the artistic person, and then we bring all these talents around the table and we sit together and we are planning for the entire community rather than a personal accomplishment, then we find that all that we have works together for our good.
Mr. O's, this has been a wonderful interview. It has been very enlightening, inspiring, and encouraging. And thank you for sharing.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
How do I write my life story? I know hurt and pain. I don't like either one, whether physical or emotional. Herein contains my story, Not Without Scars, Part 2. Optimism, perseverance, persistence, resilience. 2 decades of personal struggle. Optimism, I faced a new millennium with hopefulness. Perseverance, my ego, my humble beginnings, my desire to achieve never allow me to turn away from a difficult task. Persistence, opposition should be anticipated as an effective strategy to victory surfaces. Resilience, difficulties do not automatically spell termination. Scars reveal my imperfection as reminders of past episodes of pain, sorrow, or triumph. Scars can tell beautiful story endings or relay misery that wishes to remain anonymous. This work is meant to help others who have experienced decades of struggle. When struggles appear to never end, you must get through the night and face the challenge of a new dawn with fresh hope.
I trust you have been enlightened and inspired to take action in your home and neighborhood by this presentation. You are vital to the manifestation of a dignified and respected Black people in America and globally. We cannot afford to leave one member of the Black family behind. As a people, ambiguity must be removed and replaced by an ongoing practice of equality, respect, and opportunity to help another brother or sister have a quality life experience. I am Mark Carvin O's, inviting you to subscribe to my channel to ascertain illumination and enlightenment on the journey to the 21st century Black America Renaissance, energizing and reclaiming a people, where we provide solution-driven motivation.